Dear students, welcome to KGC lecture series. In this video, we'll be discussing about the Mines Act 1952. Let's look into the act. The Mines Act contains a provision for measures relating to the health, safety, and welfare of workers in the coal, metalliferous, and oil mines. The act also prescribes the duties of the owners to manage mines or mining operation and the health and safety in mines. It also prescribes the number of working hours in mines, the minimum wage rates, and other related matters. The Mine Rules 1955 were formulated according to the powers conferred under Section 58 of the Mines Act 1952. So this rule gives a detailed and specific provisions for the maintenance of health, safety, and welfare of the mine workers and the schedules for necessary filings of the industry. So if you look at the applicability of the act is applicable to mine and governs all borings, bore wells, oil wells, shafts, then open cast workings, underground working, the protective work carried out in or adjacent to the mines, workshops and stores, even in the precincts of the mines, power stations, transformers, substations, which are solely mainly supplying electricity to the mines. The act is applicable to all of these areas and governs all these areas. It is very important to note that this act is not applicable uh, to any mine in which excavation is being made for prospecting purpose only and not for obtaining minerals use or sale provided. Uh, what examples could you give for prospecting purpose? Yes, exactly. Archaeological excavations that can be uh, that can be given as an example here, where the Mines Act is not applicable there. So where it is not, where not more than 20 employees should not be employed on one day or any one day. The depth of the excavation should not exceed 6 meters, and in case of a coal-related excavation, it cannot exceed 15 meters. Then excavation should not exceed the beyond the superjacent grounds. That is also to be noted. And in these circumstances, the Mines Act 1952 is not applicable. Then who are the authorities under the Act? The Ministry of Mines, which is the apex body that is handled by the Government of India, is responsible for legislation regarding the mining sector. Then under the Ministry of Mines, you have the Directorate General of the Mine Safety, DGMS, the enforcement agency which ensures compliance with stated provisions through inspecting officers. So under the DGMS, you'll have the inspecting officers. So the health, safety, and welfare provisions of the Mines Act and rules are invariably checked during the general inspection of the mines. The violations observed during any such inspection are being followed up by the subsequent follow-up inspections. In case of non-compliance, the improvement notices, prohibiting orders, etc., are also being issued till it is complied. But even after giving all the prohibiting orders and improvement notices, if there's going to be continuous non-compliances, then the mine's licenses will be cancelled. Then under these Mines Act, you have the special committees where the central government shall, for the purpose of this act, constitute the committees, and the committee constituted under this act under section 12 may exercise such of the powers of an inspector under this act as it thinks necessary. The committees also comprise the power of a civil court for trying a civil suit for disposition of disputes arising in matters relating to the mines. Then the mining operation and management of the mines. Here, if you see, the owner, agent, or manager of mine is required to give notice to the chief inspector, the controller, Indian Bureau of Mines, and district magistrate in writing in form prescribed at least 1 month before commencement of the mining operations. Then the owner or the agent to be responsible for control, for direction and supervision of mines, and making financial and other provisions, and for taking steps necessary for compliance with provisions of this act. Then in every mine there should be provided with, there should be provided during all working hours prescribed number of first aid boxes. So there should be prescribed number of first aid boxes in all working hours in every mine. Then every first aid box shall be kept in charge, shall be sorry, kept in the charge of a responsible person who is trained in such first aid treatment as may be prescribed and who shall be holder of the first aid certificate. So wherever more than 150 workers are employed, then there should be a first aid room. That is also an important feature, an important provision when you talk about the health and safety. Then talking about the notice of accidents, if there's going to be any occurrence of accidents, the owner or agent or manager of the mine shall give notice of the occurrence to such authority in such form and within such time as may be prescribed in the manners as follow. The register should be maintained for the occurrence of such events, and this should be quarterly presented to the inspector of the chief inspector, inspection of chief inspector. So these registers should be maintained in prescribed forms and copies. In case of any death taking place in the premises, then there shall be the inquiry within 2 months and notice of further investigation shall be served on the inspector. So in case of bodily injuries and other injuries leading to absence, the entries in the prescribed format shall be maintained in the registrars and the copies should be submitted, maintained in the prescribed numbers and should be submitted. So on the 20th day of January of every year following the accidents, the registers and the prescribed copies of the injuries causing absence shall be furnished to the chief inspector for inspection. So this date is very, very important. Then coming to the hours and limitations of employment, no person shall be allowed to work more than 9 hours a day and not more than 48 hours a week. So 9 hours a day, which includes their lunch break as well. And a person shall not be allowed to work more than 6 days in a week. So there must be 1 day rest. The office of every mine shall display a notice showing the weekly day of the rest. So the weekly day of rest is not the same day for all the persons employed in the mine. So therefore, the notice shall show the day of rest allowed to each relay and the set of person or individual. So in addition to this, no person shall be allowed to work beyond 8 hours a day and 48 hours a week below the ground in a mine. The notice of hours of work shall be maintained in Form A. Then wages of overtime. So where any person works for more than the normal prescribed hours, he should be paid for his overtime at the rate of twice than the normal wage paid to him for the work. So some important, very important features that need to be kept in mind is that employment of women. So no women shall be employed in first place, but where? In any part of a mine which is below the ground. So no women shall be employed below the ground. So and a woman cannot be employed in any occupation or in any part even above the ground between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. Sorry, except 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. So a woman is allowed to work between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. in a mining sector that is above the ground, but not below the ground. Talking about the maintenance of registers, they need to be registered, maintained by the employer, where there will be a name of the person, then a name of the father or husband, along with the age, sex, and address, but also it will include the type of work being carried out by the person, whether it is below the ground or whether it is under the ground, whether the person is working in an open shaft mine or a closed mine, etc. All the details need to be furnished in the register. Then leave with wages. So every person employed in a mine who has completed a calendar year of service therein shall be allowed during the subsequent calendar year leave with wages calculated as prescribed here. So in the case of a person employed below the ground at the rate of 1 day for every 15 days, in other cases at the rate of 1 day for every 20 days of work performed by him or her. Got it? So the owner, agent, or manager of every mine shall maintain in respect of every employee thereof a record of leave with wages. So that will be recorded in forms G and H of this act. Then coming to penalties, which are very important, if there's going to be obstruction in cause the performance of provision of the act in relation to any mine, it shall be punishable with imprisonment of a term which may extend up to 3 months, or fine which may extend up to rupees 500, or both. So if there is falsification of the records, then the act may be penalized with imprisonment up to 3 months, and the fine which will be extended up to 100, or sorry, 1,000 rupees, or both. If there's going to be any omission to furnish plans during the time of inspection, then it shall be punishable with fine which may extend to rupees 1,000 rupees. So whoever fails to furnish the notice of accident as prescribed in section 23 may be penalized with imprisonment up to 3 months, or fine which may get extended up to 500 rupees, or both. That is all about the Mines Act of 1952. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.